Welcome to the Totinos Overdose 500 subscriber special! Yep, that's right. It's only been 1 year since I reached triple digits and we're already halfway to 1,000. For this milestone, I wanted to do a new type of video I haven't done for this channel yet. This might be your first time hearing my voice, but it's not my first time. I've had a whole year of practice with my weekly Totino LPs. I'll save the award speech for later so we can get straight to the point. Now here's a shocking plot twist. I love Punch-Out! Yeah, big surprise, I know. You'd never guess from taking a quick glance at my top videos. After all, it is thanks to a Punch-Out video that I was able to get where I am right now. And that is why I wanted to make this channel special a Punch-Out related one. Now, aside from the time a certain Kid Dynamite guest starred in it, the thing most people know about Punch-Out is its wacky and memorable characters. A creative cast of colorful characters can go a long way to make a game like Team Fortress 2 a timeless classic that everyone will remember for years to come. It's the whole reason I got into Punch-Out to begin with, and it's what I'm gonna be talking about today. So buckle up, boys! Today, I'm gonna be listing my favorite 10 fighters from the most recent entry in the series, commonly referred to as Punch-Out Wii. There's no one on this list that I truly dislike, some of them just get a little more love than the others. Anyway, with all that opening spiel out of the way, I'm Totinos Overdose, and this is Top 10 Punch-Out Fighters! First up on our list, it's the bullfighting, flamenco dancing Spanish ladies man, Don Flamenco. As you'd expect from a character like him, this guy's all about romance. He steps into the ring holding a rose, which he likes holding in a dramatic fashion at any given moment, and even as rose petals fall when he wins. He's not just here to win, he's here to put up a good show, especially for the ladies. Most especially Carmen, his true love. He even dedicates one of his attacks to her name. Carmen, mi amor! While he doesn't use any special moves to stand out, he does have a unique fighting style. So the core gameplay loop of Punch-Out goes like this. Wait for enemy to throw a punch. Dodge the punch. Enemy is left vulnerable. Now you punch.
Dodge, dodge, dodge and counter. Dodge and counter. You got it?
Well, Don Flamenco manages to turn it against you. He won't attack until you punch first. He'll just stand there and keep taunting until you make the first move. Then he'll be the one to dodge and counter. This makes a whole lot more sense when you remember he's a matador. In bullfighting, the bull always attacks first. However, there is one way to make him stop this routine. If you let the fight go on long enough, one fateful blow will uncover his terrible secret. He's wearing a toupee to cover his premature balding. When embarrassed in front of a whole crowded stadium, he drops his act and flies into rage mode. He'll attack relentlessly until he manages to down you as a revenge for making him look bad. Yeah, he's that kind of guy. There is still one other thing that infuriates him beyond that. In title defense, it's implied that Carmen left him after he lost his major circuit belt. Not accepting the fact that she only liked him for his fame, he gets an edgy makeover and swears vengeance on Little Mac. His fight for the world circuit belt is his last chance to win her back. Even his rose is now black to symbolize the death of love. He's done showing off. Now it's time to get serious. And if he wins, he'll dedicate his victory to Carmen, his beloved, as the rose regains its familiar red. For Carmen! Despite all this, however, he's not a great end boss for Major Circuit. His fight feels more like an endurance test than a climactic duel. Doesn't help that Tidal Defense doesn't give him any notable upgrades. There's also the fact that he can be juggled easily, giving him almost zero chance to fight back, which usually makes his fight a lot less interesting to watch. He would have fit better if he was even one rank lower. Nevertheless, Don Flamenco still manages to be a fairly memorable character with his cocky, overly dramatic personality, unique fighting style, and subtle character arc. While not one of my personal favorites, he certainly manages a spot on this top 10.
¿Es que nunca has visto una rosa negra?
Next up, it's Von Kaiser, the German Steel Machine. He's German engineering in boxing form. You, a mere windmill. He'll whip little boys like you into men. He'll show you that boxing is war. He winds up his fist like a wind-up toy of doom. His uppercuts hit like a shotgun. Even his fight theme lets you know this man means business. Or at least that's what he thinks. Because underneath all that bravado, Von Kaiser is actually a cowering wuss. He's been in this for too long and he knows it. Being the oldest fighter, aged 42, is not doing him any favors. He may brag about his Germanic might all he wants, but he'll shiver and call for money at the first hint of actual danger. All the bark, none of the bite. You know, that reminds me of a character from another franchise I really love, Captain Quark. Yeah, I got to sneak a Ratchet and Clank reference into this Punch-Out video. As you might have guessed, it's implied he suffers from some form of PTSD. I mean, just look at this. He starts out his fight by having a panic attack in the middle of a crowded arena. Now, we don't know if he's actually been to war, but it probably stems from getting his ass handed to him by literal kids at boxing school. No matter how much he tries to convince you he is a serious threat, he cannot hide his inadequacy complex when the push comes to shove.
Wo bist du denn? Mommy!
In Tidal Defense, however, he finally manages to overcome all that mental trauma through the sheer power of rage. He's not just gonna live with the fact that the Zoomer who beat his boomer ass is now a champion. He wants another chance, and he wants to do it right. This time, he won't let fear and self-doubt get the best of him. It's time to show them that you do not mess with German perfection.
Kampfstiefel!
Now he's ready to actually put up a fight that fits the description I gave at the start. Not only is he faster and hits harder, he'll show you the fullest extent of military-grade weaponry as he unleashes his mighty Von Kaiser Wave. A move capable of downing Little Mac in a single hit. And this is from the guy who used to be such a wimp. And all it took, apparently, was a new haircut. So there's a valuable life lesson, folks. You can accomplish so much more if you just get some better hair. On the NES, he's widely regarded as the most forgettable of the bunch. But Wii manages to make him quite memorable for the second fight. With his superior German efficiency, Von Kaiser fittingly gets the most German spot on this list. Number 9!
Ich bin eine Kampfmaschine. Mein Name Von Kaiser.
Disco Kid. The only new new character introduced in Wii, and proof that next level games can continue the Punch-Out legacy on their own. And honestly, the only reason he isn't higher is because he's an early fighter, meaning he doesn't get much to do in his fights. It seems he pays a lot more attention to dancing than boxing, as while he's loaded with trophies from dancing, his win-loss record is nothing to write home about. He's one of the only 3 fighters in Punch-Out history to have a negative record. Other than you, that is. But in the personality department, Disco Kid sure does deliver. While most Punch-Out fighters can seem assholeish at times, some all the time, Disco Kid is just simply fun. He's not a bully like a lot of Punch-Out fighters. He's just a guy who loves dancing. He just really loves dancing. He doesn't take things personally, he's just here to have fun. He's not even distraught by his failing boxing career like a certain someone. He's still dancing and smiling all the same. Even when you bust up his award-winning smile, he still keeps up his high spirits. It almost makes you not wanna beat him. You just gotta feel bad when he loses his groove. You just can't hate him. You just can't. After losing one time too many, Disco Kid wasn't feeling it anymore. He was about to give up on boxing for good, but then he saw a poster advertising this boxer-size fitness program. And this got him in a whole new groove. While admittedly not much of an upgrade, he does gain some new moves that incorporate his new dance routines into his attacks. He also gains a new Richard Simmons-inspired look with a leotard and a sick new afro. It really makes him, as he said,
Fabulous.
Despite all this style and flair, however, he ends up being probably the easiest title defense fighter. Not sure how he feels about being beaten again, but I'm sure he won't take it too seriously. He might be the one original fighter Punch-Out Wii has, but he wasn't even originally supposed to be here. He was originally intended to be a returning fighter, Kid Quick from the first arcade game. Their redesign of Kid Quick ended up feeling so different from the original, they pulled a Diddy Kong and made him into an original character. Much like with Diddy Kong, they made the right choice since Kid Quick was definitely more on the forgettable side. Kudos next level. So while his likable personality would have put him higher, being an early fighter and being the new guy on the block, thus not having the legacy of the other fighters, put him comfortably in the number 8 spot. Here's hoping that the next Punch-Out, whenever it happens, could bring in some more brand new fighters. Groove on!
I've got the disco fever. Can you feel the rhythm?
Up next is the man with the big shiny forehead and unrestrained anger issues. The bane of my existence. Bald Bull from Istanbul. Get it? The most profilic fighter in the Punch-Out series, Bald Bull is almost as much of a series icon as Little Mac himself. If you count the 2 arcade games as one, Bald Bull is the only fighter to appear in every game in the series, counting arm wrestling. This could technically qualify him as Little Mac's arch nemesis, even if he's never actually been the final boss, but still. When I said unrestrained anger issues, I really did mean it. Bald Bull lives up to his name and the common cartoon depiction of bulls, being every bit as aggressive and violent as you'd expect from this face. He blows steam out of his nose, literally steaming, roaring and making actual bull noises to show how much of a wild animal he is. He has no care for those around him as he yeets that gigantic dumbbell right into the audience. Even starts the fight beating the crap out of himself before he does the same to you. Yeah, good luck telling this guy to take a chill pill. It may just all be because he's sick of the paparazzi always following him everywhere. Whether it be training, bathing, or taking a crap. I mean, if I was in that situation, I'd be mad too. Everyone needs their private time, and people need to learn to respect personal space. Still, when you celebrate your victory by headbutting the ref for no reason, you're going a bit too far to say the least. In terms of gimmick, Bald Bull is more on the conventional side. Unlike a certain someone with the same violent temper, Bald Bull doesn't let his animalistic behavior translate to more than raw strength in his fight. However, he does have one notable move that lets him strike fear into the hearts of players throughout series history. The Bull Charge! He backs up, channels all his rage, and makes a mad dash for it, delivering a devastating uppercut that downs you in a single blow. This also ends up being his biggest weakness. If you manage to land your punch on him before he lands his, then he's the one going down. What I best remember about Bald Bull is how his title defense fight is actually the hardest one in the entire game. Despite there being 2 more fighters after him, this fight is the one I was stuck on for the longest time. He's grown so tough, a regular punch won't even bring him to the mat. He'll just laugh it off. Literally. In order to down him, you have to use a star punch. Doesn't sound that big a deal? The timing to earn stars in this fight is so strict, it's practically RNG. And not even countering his bull charge is enough to bring him down this time. You have to star punch him, or else you might as well be recreating that Metal Gear Rising meme.
Why won't you die?
Good thing I'm the kind of guy who enjoys a bit of challenge in my games. Otherwise I might judge him a bit harsher. So, being an iconic series mainstay, having an iconic super move, and providing some of the toughest battles in the series history, Bald Bull deserves no less than the lucky number 7 on my list.
Ben de onun kemiklerini çatır çutur kırmazsam bana da Bald Bull demesinler.
In Mother Russia, soda drink you! If you ask any old school Punch-Out fan to name Little Mac's most iconic foes, chances are Soda Popinski will be one of the first on the list. Now, Punch-Out is no stranger to using cultural stereotypes for comedy, as many of you are well aware. And sure enough, here comes a big muscular Russian, wading through the snow without proper clothing, carrying boxes full of bottles with a distinct green color. He's got a whole heaping stash of these bottles, and even brings them to the ring to show off his collection. Now, Russians are known to love drinking, so this should be no surprise. So what's he called? Vodka Drunkensky? Well, he used to, but no, he is Soda Popinski. You see, he is drinking soda. It merely looks like an alcoholic bottle, and he has a drunken slur to his voice, and his less quotes clearly refer to being drunk. But for the sake of 80s Nintendo's strict family-friendly policy, it's soda that he drinks. Though in all fairness, at least we tried making it more like soda, with the sound of a soda fizz accompanying his moves and the bottles being plastic. It's actually a rare case where the family friendliness actually worked in his favor, as getting drunk on soda actually made him more memorable than your average drunk Russian. He wouldn't have a key part of his character if he was still called Vodka Drunkensky like he used to. This was still 80s Nintendo, by the way. Though he used to be a more standard fighter, in Wii, He actually incorporates his drinking habits into his fight. During his fight, he'll take a sip from his totally not vodka bottle, allowing him to recover some lost HP, sending your progress right down the toilet. You can interrupt it by punching away his bottle, but he'll unleash a rapid-fire set of powerful uppercuts on anyone unfortunate enough to try this. Now you done it, you won't like soda when he's angry. Much like Bald Bull, his title defense fight is also one of the hardest 3 in the game. Not content with his regular not vodka, he gets a team of scientists to create a genetically engineered super soda, which gives him the strength to pull a truck with his teeth. And it also makes his uppercuts come out faster than a barefoot jackrabbit on a hot greasy griddle in the middle of August. If you don't have a panther's reflexes, you will fail. To me, Soda Popinski and Bald Bull go hand in hand, being bald and mustachioed world circuit fighters who really gave me the fight of my life in title defense. I would have struggled deciding who is more deserving of a spot over the other. However, Soda Popinski has one thing that gives him an edge over Bald Bull. His badass theme song. Just listen. Hear that? That's the sound of revolution! You can just feel the strength of the motherland in this song. This is the kind of music you could put over a Dark Souls boss and it would fit perfectly. And you know, I kinda like that the country closest to mine has the most kick-ass music in the game. Torilla tavataan perkele! While he barely misses out on my top 5, his unique gimmick, challenging fight, and most of all, his godly battle music make Soda Popinski one of my favorites to go up against in Punch-Out Wii. And that's why he gets a drink to his victory as number 6 on my list.
Я Сода Попинский! Я задавлю тебя!
Mr. Sandman! World Circuit's longtime undefeated champion! An unstoppable juggernaut feared by the manliest of men! With 31 wins and no losses, he stands as Punch-Out Wii's final boss. The last thing standing between you and the champion's belt. You fought your way through a long lineup of colorful, varied personalities. How does he top it off? Well, throughout the game, you've been facing flashy show-offs, dirty cheaters, and comically exaggerated stereotypes. Then you face your final foe, and he's just a realistic, normal championship boxer. And he is just pure badass. Mr. Sandman couldn't be anything other than the final boss, and nobody could be the final boss but him. If he was ranked any lower, he would have just felt like a more generic fighter. But as the final boss, he turns all that genericness into sheer intimidation factor. He enters the ring, not saying a single word. His imposing presence speaks for itself. You can feel the menace radiating from him. Even Doc Louis is worried if you can handle him. That's exactly what a final boss is supposed to be. Intimidating. Like seriously, he destroyed an entire building with his bare hands. If that doesn't make you feel like you've just entered the ring with the strongest man in the world, then I don't know what will. He doesn't have a gimmick because he doesn't need any gimmicks. He earned his title fair and square. And he'll show you why he earned it as he makes you cry in pain with his triple uppercut combo, the Dreamland Express. But he'll make you cry even harder in title defense where he breaks out Mike Tyson's dreaded wink punch. Even his edgy makeover pays homage to old Iron Mike. It's cool how they included this as an homage to the game that made Punch-Out a famous Nintendo franchise. Carried by celebrity power as it might have been. It's a really clever way to bring Mike Tyson back into Punch-Out without having to pay the licensing deal. Much better than, Mr. Dream. At the end of his title defense fight, when he's been floored one time too many, he unleashes his final trump card. His Berserker Rage! He goes full offensive with a rapid-fire series of destructive wink punches in a last-ditch attempt to claim his title back. Once you manage to survive all this, however, he gets exhausted and is left defenseless, allowing you to get in one last star punch and finish the fight with style. Or you can just counterpunch the first two wink punches and do a star punch to finish him off early. Kinda wish this phase wasn't cheesable. Almost put him lower because of this. But hey, the fight is still enough of a challenge that it can feel satisfying too. So, all this comes together to form the most fitting final challenger, who will make you feel like an insignificant little bug when you first fight him, and a total badass when you finally beat him. Without a single rule break in his name, he earned his World Circuit title and a spot in the top 5 on my list.
Tell your face to leave my piss alone.
When I think of Punch-Out making the best of cheesy national stereotypes, Bear Hugger is the one I'll always think of. Like, this guy is the embodiment of Canadian. He's a lumberjack, he lives out in the woods, he gulps down gallons of maple syrup as Canadians are known to do, he shouts hockey terms during his fights, he's even got chest hair in the shape of a pine tree, as is the case with all men from Canada. Everything about him is as Canadian as it gets, eh? And you know what the best part is? The studio that made Punch-Out Wii is Canadian! The Canadian developers clearly had a field day making the Canadian fighter as Canadian as they possibly could. This goes to show that having fun with nationalities is nothing to be ashamed of. That means you social justice warriors have no business getting in the way of a new Punch-Out. But the real magic of Punch-Out fighters is that there's more to them than just their cheesy stereotypes. What I really like about Bear Hugger is that he's not just a show of how Canadian he is. He is actually a really fun character. He's not the guy who takes things personally. He's just a jolly, easygoing fellow here to have a fun time. He's like a bigger, fatter disco kid, smiling and dancing all the way, engaging in a bit of playful banter as he does. He's not here to be mean. He just wants to give you a hug. A nice big hug. A really big hug. Though he doesn't apologize every time he hits you like a proper Canadian would, you can still feel that Canadian niceness in him. And that also shows in his daily life in the Canadian wilds. He's shown to be a friend to animals, having a squirrel and even an actual bear as his friends. They do call him Bear Hugger for a reason. And in title defense, he brings the squirrel into the ring with him, technically making this a 2-on-1 fight, even though the squirrel doesn't actually fight and is only there to serve as moral support. and accidentally work against Bear Hugger, as you can see the little guy pop out from under his hat every time he's about to do a fake out. You can even punch the squirrel into the audience. We don't know what happens to him after he gets yeeted, but it probably didn't end well, seeing as Bear Hugger is crying in his title defense post results. But if you lose, you get a cute little scene of them celebrating together. Look, they're so happy. So happy. Bear Hugger is easily the standout of Major Circuit, and one of my favorite Punch-Out characters in terms of design, personality, and his fights. He's still a little less important than the top 3, but only barely. Barely, eh?
I'm a hugger, not a fighter. Take off, eh? Yeah.
Glass Joe, the eternal underdog. Probably the one recognized by the most players, as he serves as your first taste of combat in this game. His fight is deliberately piss easy to allow you to get a feel for the controls before taking on a real challenge. Just like pro wrestling has jobbers, Glass Joe is the jobber of Punch-Out. His purpose is to give newcomers their first win. And as a character, he's exactly the kind of guy you'd face as the easiest foe. He's not like the other fighters, all high and mighty till Little Mac comes along. He's scrawny, he's wimpy, he's French. Everything is stacked against him. He's got only one win, only a singular win, and 99 losses. Even his verbal game is weak. Can't even threaten you properly. All he does is complain how weak he is.
Attention à mon menton! Ne frappe pas mon menton!
Even his name is derived from Glass Jaw, a crippling vulnerability of the chin. It's at the point where an achievement involves letting him win. So if he's so pathetic, how is he number 3 on this list? Well, here's the thing. Everything about him screams loser. But he's not actually that much of a loser if you really think about it. Sure, he may have lost 100 fights, but when you consider the fact he's even had that many fights, it's really more impressive than you'd think. Most people in his situation would have given up a long time ago. But not Glass Joe. Even after 100 losses, he still keeps going, in hopes that one day, maybe he could finally win. Despite his abysmal record, he still gives it his best, however inadequate his best may be. This Frenchman may be easily conquered, but he does not surrender. He's not just pathetic, he's sympathetic. In title defense, however, he comes closer than ever before. He finally gets the one thing he needed. A helmet! After enduring so many beatings that he's got brain damage. Per doctor's orders, Glass Joe is granted a protective helmet that shields his frail Frenchy face, eliminating his biggest weakness. And with his newfound strength comes newfound confidence. Right from his opening line, you can tell there is a massive tonal difference.
Je viens te chercher!
Yeah, this time he's actually ready to take you on. This time, he's actually sure his day of victory has come. Sure, he might still be the easiest fighter in title defense, but now he actually has a chance to put up a real fight. He even managed to give me a hard time on my first run. But if you actually lose to him, you can just feel his joy as he finally gets his win. And all those years of humiliation finally paid off in the end. There's really an inspirational story to be had with him. Even more so than Little Max. Glass Joe is a true hero to us all. While he didn't exactly get the win in my rankings, he more than deserves a spot in my top 3. Because if there's one thing Glass Joe does better than anyone else, he can always take a whooping.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, go!
While we can all look up to a great hero, the thing that really makes the story is a great villain. And while the Punch-Out roster is no stranger to cheaters and jerks, there's no one who disgraces the very concept of boxing quite like the absolute mad lad himself, Aaron Ryan.
Let's go! Let's go!
Aaron Ryan is defined as the dirty fighter of Punch-Out. And you know that's saying something considering other fighters have brought in things like animals, magic, and steroid soda. Being explicitly branded a cheater in a tournament like this really takes some special disregard for rules. Yet somehow this dastardly denizen of Dublin manages to single-handedly outdo every single rule breaker who ever entered this ring. A literal monkey is a more honorable fighter than Aaron Ryan. Not even kidding! Now I'm not here to explain every single thing that makes him stand out from other rule breakers. Bumbles McFumbles got us covered there. But for starters, his intro already shows him loading his gloves with horseshoes. He's the only fighter to do this. That means he's smuggling in the equivalent of brass knuckles. You sure he does all his fighting inside the ring? He also makes prominent use of headbutts and elbow strikes, common in Irish collar and elbow wrestling, but definitely not allowed in boxing. But the biggest cheat, bar none, he smuggles a makeshift weapon into a boxing match.
Here's one of my favorites, man.
In title defense, he pulls out his ace in the hole, one of his old gloves attached to this rope, which he'll proceed to swing around like a flail. And that thing is probably still stuffed with horseshoes. This man has definitely killed someone, be it within or outside the ring. He even uses it to sneak in one last attack as he's going down. The other fighters can be sore losers, but nobody else ever attempts this kind of dirty trick. Here I am still wondering, how is this allowed? How does the ref do nothing about this? I wouldn't be surprised if next time he brought a knife into his fight. Or even a gun. How about a freaking thermonuclear warhead? Oh, he would be the guy to do that. Fighting is like breathing to him. He really enjoys punching people way more than he should. He's so eager to fight you, he's already hopping around like mad on the character select screen. And he keeps hopping around like mad during his fight. Guy just won't stay in place for 1 second. A hyperactive little gremlin he is. He also doesn't react to getting hit like the other fighters would. He laughs in the face of pain. Literally, every time you land a punch on him, he laughs. Even during breaks, he tells you to keep hitting him. He loves it. Even lets you get in a free hit with his taunt. He'll also punch himself in the face with nothing better to do, still with those same horseshoes inside his gloves. He's gonna have almost as much Dane Bramage as Glass Joe at this point. Not that he really minds. Just look at his post-fight screen. Do I have to say what that face looks like? But that's not all! He also tries to attack before the round even begins, only to end up hurting the ref when he tries to intervene. And then when he wins, he will literally break the fourth wall. And when he downs you, he doesn't just laugh at you like most of the other fighters would. He feels the need to start slinging childish insults at your face to get you all fired up.
You poaching your cheeseburgers in those gloves, have you, Mac?
All in all, Aaron Ryan is everything that could go wrong with a boxer, all in one devilish Guinness-flavored package. While he's not gonna win any awards like Handsome Jack or Senator Armstrong, Aaron Ryan is the perfect villain for Little Mac. And that is how Aaron Ryan manages to cheat his way into our hearts and the number 2 spot on my list.
Fight's like breathing, Mac!
However, there is someone even greater than that. Those of you who already know me well, those of you who've taken a good look at this channel, you should already know who's number 1. Everybody say it with me! Release the bogus! Come on, you know there's no way I'd put anyone other than Super Macho Man on the number 1 spot in this list. He's the biggest meme character in all of Punch-Out! And in case you couldn't tell, I love me a good meme! Out of any given roster, my favorite is almost always the one with the highest meme appeal. Be it Waluigi, Dio, or Gaston. Speaking of Gaston, Super Macho Man kinda has that same vibe, don't you think? He's the guy who got the dashing good looks, the iron hard abs, and all the adoring fangirls, and he full well knows it. He acts like it's his show where he's the main character, and you're only here to be the loser who can't handle his coolness. He's always flexing for the whole audience to see in both senses of the word, and yelling a bunch of cheesy one-liners during his attacks. Even has the balls to cold clock the ref, cause he thinks he's got the authority.
Get out of my way! It's showtime!
Though Super Macho Man thinks he's the coolest thing ever, the stadium audience thinks otherwise. His presence is greeted with boos, and when you down him, the audience cheers twice as hard. At one point, he even gets tomatoes thrown at him. Yeah, not so much of an American hero is he. He is still strong enough to be ranked first in the world circuit though, so some could say he has reason to act superior. Just like with Gaston, whom I previously compared him to, despite how much of a dick he can be, he's an absolute blast to watch. His larger-than-life personality and his incredibly quotable lines really make him endearing rather than annoying. The audience may be booing him, but we on the other side of the fourth wall just can't get enough of him. Every line this man speaks is ripe for memes. Everything from the one about his sunglasses, which you can't afford, to the surfer lingo in his attack cues, and of course, who could forget the biggest reason we love Super Macho Man? Say the line.
Release the bogus!
If you're a Punch-Out fan, you must know about Release the Bogus. It's the biggest meme in all of Punch-Out, and it's the reason we all love him so much. The only downside I'd say is that his fight may be a little too easy for the penultimate one. He doesn't really have any moves that surprise you. Being the large ham he is, his attacks are hard-hitting but heavily telegraphed. And being the only fighter who doesn't have any insta-kill windows in title defense does little to mitigate this.
Why don't you love me?
But even then, I can't really say that's a bad thing, because coming off the nightmarish title defense fights of Soda and Bull, it feels rewarding to blow off some steam on this guy before taking on the final boss. And his arrogant attitude just makes it feel all the more satisfying. While I think Aaron Ryan and Glass Joe may be somewhat better written characters, Super Macho Man has a special place in my heart. From the moment I first saw this guy, to even now, I've been memeing this guy way harder than any other Punch-Out character. Just take a look at my top videos. Without all the Super Macho Man memes, I may have never become the Punch-Out fan I am today. I wouldn't even be here today making this video if he never released the Bogus. And that is why my all-time favorite Punch-Out character is Super Macho Man!
Welcome to my
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is my top 10 Punch-Out fighters. As for King Hippo, Piston Hondo, and Great Tiger, don't worry, they are great characters too. I don't hate them, but somebody just had to be left out to make a top 10. That's just how it be sometimes. And now, as promised at the beginning, here is that award acceptance speech. You guys have no idea how much this all means to me. When I started this channel, as a simple extension of my game banana, I never seriously expected this dumb little channel to ever get this far. And I'm not saying that just to be dramatic. I never intended this channel to be more than just a silly little side hobby. While some would say 500 isn't a big number, to me, the fact I was even able to make it halfway to the thousands in just 1 year after reaching triple digits, it's nothing short of incredible. Honestly, it's hard to even put it into words. Now, this may sound obligatory and a tad bit cliche, but this wouldn't have been possible without you guys. All 500 plus of you made this happen, and I couldn't be more thankful. Okay, maybe I could have been more thankful by getting this done faster, but hey, the fact I spent this long perfecting it should also speak volumes. Not only do I want to thank all you 500 plus subscribers, but Next Level Games as well for making Punch-Out Wii. Without this game, I could have never made Stop Posting About Punch-Out, the video that got me where I am right now. So thank you, Next Level Games. Thank you for giving us 14 years of Punch-Out memories and memes. And finally, I have to thank Big Gay Rapper for creating the Stop Posting meme. I owe my whole success to the existence of the Stop Posting meme. Without it, I'd probably be at 119 subscribers right now. So one last thank you to all my 500 plus subscribers, Big Gay Rapper and Next Level Games. You've all made a dream come true. And I once more want to apologize for taking so long with this video. I really wanted to get it out sooner, but college got in the way. So, I hope you all enjoyed this brand new type of video on this channel. And I hope you keep on enjoying all kinds of stuff I'll keep on making in the future. I plan to introduce live streaming to this channel. I will of course be streaming Punch-Out Wii. So I hope you're all looking forward to that. More Super Macho Man YTPMVs like Now's Your Chance to Release the Bogus are also coming, and more of my usual Punch-Out related nonsense. But until then, that'll be it for this video, and I'll see you guys back at the next one.
Good job, son. Good job.
Here's to another 500.